Hi, it's Corey Chambers. Your home sold guaranteed or I'll buy it. This is for people who would like us to take a little bit of time to elaborate and help them a bit more deeply understand some of the issues and topics in today's L.A. Loft Blog. The L.A. Loft Blog is the authority of downtown Los Angeles residential real estate. And today we really focus on answering and addressing the L.A. Loft Blog reader questions and feedback. So this week, those actually come in the form of simply searches and words that people typed in what they're looking for. So we know that people are interested in those topics because they have typed in these words and then they've also clicked on certain things. Of the more than 1,000 pages, we'll let you know what are the pages they clicked on the most over the past few days, the past day or the past week, to let you know what is hot in downtown Los Angeles, what are buyers, sellers, renters, landlords, and investors all thinking of, and what are they doing in downtown L.A. So I started with some pictures that we found on Twitter to let you know what's happening. Who are the people in downtown Los Angeles? So these are people that we've found on Twitter in downtown Los Angeles. It was young people, so I wanted to include those to let you know who's hanging out in downtown. People are taking a lot of pictures, a lot of selfies, a lot of modeling, as they have done for many decades in downtown Los Angeles. The Arts District and all of downtown has been popular for people who like the urban vibe, the urban look and feeling. So a lot of young models and photographers, they're often taking advantage of the street scenes, the street art, and so forth in downtown. And then we have a newer ice cream shop called Divine Dips, which is actually vegan ice cream. So people love it. It's highly rated. So I put that up there to remind me and you, because I haven't tasted it yet. But the ice cream looks really good for vegan ice cream. I'm not a vegan and I'm not a vegetarian, but I do believe it is very healthy to eat your vegetables. And we're learning more and more that eating too much dairy products is not healthy. When I lived in Japan for 2 years, the healthiest, longest living people in the world, they don't drink milk. They don't eat much cheese, milk, or ice cream. The ice cream they eat is usually non-dairy. So that was one of the ways that we figure out that the things that are recommended by the government for health, they're not always so healthy. When we were kids, we were told there's a milk group. You have to eat milk products to be healthy. It turns out that was completely false. You do not need to eat any milk products to be healthy. Anyway, we're diverging from Divine Dips. They're unfortunately closed on Sundays, but that makes sense since it's called Divine Dips. They're probably good Christians and they're at church today. So here's actual questions that readers asked, but they asked them in the form of what they're actually searching on Google and other search engines for. So these words in bold: businesses, downtown Los Angeles, is how they found us, because we actually had created a directory of downtown Los Angeles businesses. So you can click on that here and add your business if you have any kind of business. Right now I'm adding Divine Dips for them. So we should get them added hopefully in the next day or two to the businesses. But there are thousands of businesses that need to be added, so we need your help. Whether you're a business owner or not, add your favorite business to the L.A. Loft Blog list of businesses to benefit from our 2,000 daily readers. OceanWide Plaza Trouble. So we've written a couple articles and updated one or two of those articles lately, because OceanWide Plaza is a major billion-dollar development that takes up an entire city block on the most prime real estate of downtown Los Angeles, across the street from L.A. Live, Staples Center. So right by the Los Angeles Convention Center, between L.A. Live and the Flower Street Lofts. And they've been apparently broke for a while. So part of that is related to China, because they are an American company that's a version of a Chinese real estate company. And they rely on China for their investment development funding. China just a couple months ago cut off funding. They said, stop wasting money building stuff in the United States, stop sending money out to the United States, stop sending money out to anywhere, just keep it in China. So that's part of the problem. That's probably the main problem with OceanWide Plaza. Probably needs to be purchased by a non-Chinese company. Most likely. The work is not being done by Chinese construction workers. It's being done by American builders. But it's funded and owned, and the investment is done by the Chinese companies. And it's a similar situation at Metropolis. However, Metropolis is further along. Metropolis is almost completely finished already, whereas OceanWide Plaza is only partially done, maybe halfway done with the construction, and has not finished any part of the building yet. So that's why we keep talking about OceanWide Plaza. This is a major deal when China's crashing economy, that people who don't know economics, namely our mainstream news media, some of them would get on there and say, oh, well, they have a communist government, so they cannot have a recession, which is the stupidest thing that anyone has ever said about economics, because first of all, China is only slightly less communist than it was previously, 30 years ago. China had a horrible recession in 1997, 98, 99. All of Asia did, especially Korea, but also China, when it was even more communist then than it is now. But it was not much different. It was roughly the same as it is now. And when you believe you cannot have a recession, that's going to ensure that you have a worse recession. Our recession that's just kind of beginning right now in the United States is going to be mild. It might be bad in the form of being sideways and lengthy, and it's very slow and painful slide, but it's not going to be this major, huge, immense, total economic national crash. Most likely, that's just my opinion of what's most likely to happen and not happen. From someone who's actually taken lots of economics classes and gotten good grades in those, and read lots of books in addition to those. So when I talk about economics, it's not for political purposes. It's because I understand it and enjoy it. And it's fun economics will be very boring. You got to make fun of it. It's the dismal science. So you got to turn it into a joke so that you don't cry. Michael Rogers, speaking of crying, Michael Rogers' murder of Lisa Ramirez. Someone just searched for that. And I don't watch many murder mysteries or anything like that. The reason why I was particularly interested in this story is because it really happened. It happened in a building where I worked, where our office was, in Flower Street Lofts. And when people get killed, again, you have to either laugh or cry. Generally, people prefer to go ahead and cry for a while and then start laughing maybe 10 years or 100 years later when it's, not so sad anymore. I jumped the gun because when I wrote the story about the murder, I got into it a little bit too much. I detached myself a little bit from reality, and I made a picture of their fountain, and I turned it into a blood fountain by making the water red, or which was not the right thing to do. So they reminded me of that by calling my broker and complaining. And I thought, you know what, the blood fountain probably is not appropriate. So I removed the blood fountain from our article about the murder. This was an actual murder of a wonderful young lady who I would say hi to, and she would say hi, almost every day, every morning. She was there cleaning Flower Street lofts, and was murdered by some guy who apparently was loved by his family members, Michael Rogers, but went obviously crazy that day. I suspect it was not his only day going crazy, however, probably drugs or something else. I sort of blamed it, theoretically, proposed that perhaps it was all that construction, perhaps that it was OceanWide Plaza that actually caused the murder of Lisa Ramirez, from all that stress and the vertigo of all these huge, enormous buildings being built right across the street. Very noisy. You walk out of your, Flower Street lofts, and there's this just enormously, gigantically immense buildings shooting up all around with tremendous noise and chaos. Well, it was very controlled chaos, but building. So anyway, that's Flower Street. So someone brought that topic up, so I talked more about it. Excuse me while I blow my nose. Taking my time since it's Sunday. I have the time, and perhaps some people want to actually hear me talk about these topics. I'm sure it's very few people, but thank you to those few who want to hear me talk. Downtown L.A. Loft for sale. Well, without HOA. So that's the kicker. Without HOA. So homeowners association dues are very expensive in downtown Los Angeles. So it makes sense that people might prefer to buy a loft with no HOA at all. Hey, more often people are looking for low HOA dues, but for the few people who ask for no HOA, we got to admire their imagination. So there are some of those, but basically there are none. There are so few that you're probably not going to find a loft. Very unlikely you're going to find a loft with no HOA dues. You will find, once in a blue moon, once every few years, a small building will come up for sale but it's going to be several $1 million. It's going to be $1 million, more likely $2 million to $20 million if you want to in an important part of downtown Los Angeles. If you go out, you got to go outside of downtown, and you can find some cool buildings, cool lofty buildings, even some genuine lofts for less than $2 million. Live-work conversions. Well, this is a great question because all the lofts in downtown, most of them, more than half, are live-work conversions. They're converted from an old industrial or commercial buildings. So we have lists and pages to help with those. You just click on them. And those basically, here are the actual searches that people search for in Google and so forth, wherever they were searching, that led them to our site, the L.A. Loft Blog. And then once they get in the Loft Blog, here are the top posts that they clicked on. So Mills Act has always been number one for the past several years, I believe, because Mills Act gives you those beautiful historic homes with the Mills Act property tax savings. So you probably going to save thousands of dollars every year. That's what most owner's report. And then the other topics: lofts for lease, live-work lofts versus studio apartments, affordable lofts, Los Angeles, new homes, which again mentions Metropolis and OceanWide Plaza Trouble. Alta Lofts, which is where we live and where we're selling the biggest, nicest, cheapest loft in Los Angeles, is for sale here. So if you want the biggest, nicest, cheapest loft, if you want 1,700 square foot, 2-story loft with a 17-foot high ceilings, and you want more than one bathroom, and you want a cool industrial loft that's very similar to the one I live in, only slightly bigger and better than the one I live in, then click on that and take a look at Unit 115. Biscuit Company Lofts, if you want to spend a few more bucks for something a little smaller, then click on Biscuit Company Lofts. It's kind of a upscale, with genuine brick lofts that used to be the luxurious Nabisco headquarters. And then if you want to get a list of lofts for sale or for lease, just fill out this form. So that's today's... we can't forget about the Nisei Week. I love Japanese festivals. I lived in Japan for 2 years, and we have a piece of Japan in downtown, Little Tokyo. That's really, really wonderful. It has a great walking promenade there in Little Tokyo. And that's today's L.A. Loft Blog. Answers to reader questions and feedback. I hope you found this extra lengthy monologue to be helpful, and I really value your feedback, comments, and questions. And have a great day. I'm Corey Chambers in Los Angeles. Your home sold, guaranteed, or I'll buy it. Take care. Bye-bye.